Joining us now, Matt Waters, U.S. Senate candidate, Virginia, Libertarian Party. Some people have him 6, 7, 8 in the polls. If he gets to 10, all hell breaks loose. And then the Libertarians, I think, get on the ballot. Matt, am I right?
You're absolutely correct. And I think we're heading north, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Our internal shows at around 8. That was about 3 weeks ago. The other polls show us at around 6, and these are oversampling our friends on the left. So I feel good about where we are, given particularly the nature of this race. And you mentioned this, maybe there's people that drift away from Corey and look at this as a lost cause on that side, but a real important one on our side, to bring another political party as an official party into the state of Virginia is a very healthy thing. I know my friends on the right and even left, they talk about they're afraid of us, and they shouldn't be afraid of us. They should welcome debate. They should welcome a new perspective, a fresh new perspective that is advocating on behalf of individual liberty. I think we need to start there, and that's what we're making our case to the people on that issue alone.
I think you got a shot at 10%. I mean, Robert Sarvis got 7.4, I believe, in that race. I think you're going to exceed that. And look, at the end of the day, there's a lot of Republicans that I know that just are not going to vote for Corey Stewart. Now, I'm not going to spend a debate on Corey Stewart, and it doesn't have anything to do with the primary and Nick Freitas. They just don't like him, and they don't like some of the things he's done. And so I know a lot of my Republican friends are saying, well, I'm just going to leave that blank. And I've said, well, there is a third alternative there. His name is Matt Waters, and he's running for Senate. He's a U.S. Libertarian candidate for Senate in Virginia. That's an alternative if you feel more comfortable with that. But, it is what it is, Matt. I can't make this stuff up. So I think you got a shot at getting to 10%. You sent a press release out the other day. You're the only one talking about the debt and the deficit. And the deficit just went up again. Now, I'm going to defend the president and then get your rebuttal. The president campaigned and said, look, I'm not going to cut entitlements. I'm not going to cut Social Security. I'm not going to cut Medicaid. That's a pact that was made. I'm going to make the country rich so that it can pay for the pact that was made, and you can get your Social Security and your Medicaid benefits. And he's delivered on that promise. Then we get the tax cuts. And he said, okay, short-term pain, long-term gain. In the short term, debt's going to go up because taxes have gone down. In the longer term, revenues will outpace the money lost from the tax cut rate, kind of the old Arthur Hafer curve. Tax rates go down, which is a good thing. Revenues go up because you create jobs and add to the pie, so you grow a bigger pie. But there's a lag there. It doesn't happen immediately. It takes a couple of cycles. Having said that, we got a $21 trillion debt. Spending continues to go up. But now the president wants a 5% cut from everybody. Good luck with that. Break this down for us, Matt.
Yeah, no, John, that's right. I mean, this is it's a complicated question. It's a question that the politicians are just dodging on. Politicians want to spend money because it looks like it tells the voters we're doing something. We just added 400,000 new people on Medicaid. Aren't we the heroes of the day? What they're not telling those same voters is Medicaid goes bankrupt in 2028, Medicare in 2029, Social Security in 2035. According to the CBO, and I think those numbers have been backed up a few years. But, look, we can't grow our way out of the debt. It's impossible right now. I mean, you need to have a 50% growth. If you look at the Fix the Debt folks, they've done a lot of work on this. And you'd have to cut spending drastically or raise taxes drastically, right? I mean, even, Social Security, when it goes bankrupt in 2035, here are the opportunities to raise taxes on Social Security 25%. And to cut benefits at the same number. That's not good for anybody. I mean, we need the taxes to continue to pay today's retirees, and those retirees are not expecting a 25% cut in benefits. So we're in a real crunch, and I think it takes leadership and courage to say, let's move this out of Washington. Let's move to a public-private partnership initially and get the wheels in motion to move Social Security and the entitlement programs that are growing at a tremendous rate in Washington, out of Washington, into private, investment, private retirement accounts. And, retirement is way too important to give to the government to handle on our behalf. Healthcare is too important to give to the government to handle on our behalf. Banking is too important to give to the government. I mean, on and on. Education, energy, the environment. These things are far too important. And what we're underestimating is the power and the magic of the market that is accountable to people, that is transparent to people, and that we can look at and see if we get a return on investment on any variety of these types of things. And again, we chuck it up to government and think the government's going to take care of us. Tim Kaine is called America's dad, right? That's one of the slogans they're using for him. And unfortunately, I know they meant that as a term of affection for Tim. He's a pleasant guy, very friendly, but I think this attitude reflects a fundamental problem in some people's view of government. Tim is not our parent. His job is, the parent's job is to give us, a good life and food and education. I like Tim, but that's not the role that Tim and the Democrats and or Republicans should be taking on our behalf in Washington.
So, Matt Waters, what are your specific plans to cut the debt, to reduce the deficit? What are the specifics?
Yeah, so the specifics are this. I mean, things like foreign aid need to be cut. I mean, we have a situation in Saudi Arabia, in Turkey, in Egypt. We've given the Saudis $90 billion in arms supplies over the last 10 years. That and they're involved in a civil war in Yemen, or a campaign in Yemen where they're using American bombs to drop them on buses full of school children. This it has all kind of ramifications, but you have to cut foreign aid. You have to do something in Washington, John. It's hard to do. It's called cut spending, not just reduce the increase in spending, but literally cut spending, eliminate departments, privatize agencies, Amtrak, the post office. You got to move this out of Washington, let the private market do the things it's supposed to do, and get government back to doing the things it was called to do, which is to protect our rights. That's it. I mean, there's nowhere in the Constitution do we talk about the term education is nowhere in our United States Constitution, right? So why an education department? Why is it there? In fact, since the creation of the education department, education in America has only worsened. Now, I'm not going to chalk that up to the hands of government necessarily, but I think that localities, parents, states, communities, they can run that far better than a one-size-fits-all policy from Washington and save taxpayers' money on the other side. We need to get back to limited government, John. That's the key. That's what built this country, because it allowed people, you and I, entrepreneurs, businessmen and women, teachers, etc., from parenting to preaching in the pulpits, we had freedom. And now there's a state that's engaged in all these issues, that's monitoring our activities online and offline, and we really need to get back and recover this idea of individual liberty, that if the government's role is only to protect our right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and that's it, and just to give us the opportunity to pursue a life, to pursue our dreams, our goals, then you have to look at things like the energy department, education, agriculture, these things, retirement, and the entitlement benefits, quote unquote, that we have out there. We need to really move things out of Washington into the private sector, and that means drastic cuts. I've got a website, mattwaters.com. I've got a whole outlay of places we can cut, eliminate, privatize, downsize, outsource, the types of things that we do around the kitchen table here at my home. When there's more month than there is money, John, we have to make some hard decisions.
Matt, let's shift gears. I understand your passion for bringing the debt down. Even if you got elected, you would be a very lonely voice in Washington. I mean, I'm D.C. in the swamp all week. This is the most corrupt city in America, the lobbyists that are running around. Here's the thing, Matt. Ever go there, right, and you drive around the rich suburbs in Northern Virginia and Maryland, suburbs of D.C., they're all $2, $3, $4, $5 million homes. Everybody's rich. They've all got a ton of money. They all drive Lexuses and Mercedes. They've all got Sirius XM. They all walk around in $5,000 suits. And Matt, you know what we produce in Washington? Nothing. We don't make a ball bearing. We don't make a thing. We produce nothing. They manufacture nothing. They build nothing. They invent nothing. Yet they're all rich. Figure that one out.
Yeah, no. The 5 richest zip codes surround the District of Columbia. You're exactly right. And yeah, you're exactly right. We produce nothing except more regulations, more laws, and the special interest step in. I mean, take the Farm Bill that was, recently being debated. And by the way, 70% of the Farm Bill is food stamps and the WIC program. And who's here lobbying, John? It's Amazon, it's McDonald's, and Walmart. Why? Because they want to be able to take food stamps online, so you can get your Amazon Prime shipments, right? So this is the problem. Why is Amazon moving their headquarters here? After all, right? They know who directs traffic in this country. So it's the Washington politicians and the special interests, and they're going to get in on it while the getting is good. And I can't blame them for that. But we do need to roll back this the statist mentality that is engulfing, really every area of our lives. Really, again, I think that the retirement security, that we're trusting the government to pay out retirement benefits that it can't possibly do, that that are in bad need of reform of a system that's created in 1935. We're not driving Model T cars, which is the best-selling car in 1935 today. Cars have changed. We need to change. Retirements. We have protracted retirements today, 30, 40-year retirements. The system was never built for that. Retirement in 1935 was 2 to 4 years. The world has changed. We're a victim, really, of our own success. People are living longer. We're healthier. That's all good. But that system needs to change. And, the Supreme Court said in 1962 that we're not even entitled to Social Security. There's no guarantee that you'll get it. And the Congress can change it any day, or they can allow it just to go bankrupt and stop sending the checks.
We're with Matt Waters. He's the United States Senate Libertarian candidate in Virginia. The midterms, November 6, 19 days away. 3 candidates running: Republican Corey Stewart, Matt Waters, Libertarian incumbent Tim Kaine, Democrat, ran for vice president, and Kaine the overwhelming prohibitive favorite in this race. The big question is, can Matt Waters get to 10%? If he does, then the Libertarians get a spot on the Virginia ballot for, how long is it? What period of time?
I believe it's 5 years.
5 years. That's right. It is 5 years. And then they basically, they become a third political party in Virginia. So the stakes for Waters and the Libertarians are very high. Matt, let's shift gears a minute. Let's go to this caravan. Now 5,000 people making its way up through Guatemala. If you were in the Senate, what would be your position right now on this?
Well, I would do things a little differently. First of all, there's no doubt there's a crisis in Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. Right? There's a refugee crisis. People are fleeing that country, and I think that we need to have a Latin American summit. We need to sit down with the leaders of those countries and have a conversation. And have to put Mexico in that mix too, because they're coming right through Mexico. I think it starts there. I would rather than take an approach, I would almost say a dehumanizing approach to this, and a very anger-filled approach where I think Trump is going. I would take a much more diplomatic approach and say, how can we solve this problem together?
Well, that's a very long-term. Matt, let me just interrupt you. That's a very long-term view. Let's all sit down, and I guess it ends up in giving more money to these countries that you just said you would cut off. So no money's going to get involved, according to Matt Waters. 4,000 to 5,000 people are coming right now. This is what I asked Tim Kaine. They're coming now, not tomorrow, not next week. They're coming now. Their objective is go through Mexico, get to the southern border. 5,000 of them cross. 1,000 will be apprehended. We apprehended about 20%. The other 80%, you never find them again. And of the 20% we do apprehend, 80% of them end up not returning for whatever the piece of paper they give them to go back to court or whatever, and they can't separate them from their children. We've already been through that. Kids in cages before the midterms. That's not going to happen. So basically, they all get in scot-free. If you don't do something, what would you do?
Yeah, no, look, Libertarians are a rule of law party. Some of us are open border folks. I don't share that. I do believe in tighter border security. We need to stop that. It's illegal. It's trespassing, right? You can't do that.
So what would you do?
You need to engage them. You need to have either National Guard. Look, my plan is to pull the 42,000 troops out of Germany and put them on the southern border, and pull 50,000 out of Japan and put them on the southern border, and pull 28,000 out of South Korea and put them on the southern border. We'd have a pretty good force down there if we spent our money defending this country rather than defending the countries around the globe.
Now we're talking, Matt. Now we're talking. See, that's a plan. Let's get our troops out of Germany, Japan, and where else?
South Korea.
South Korea. Let's get them out, and let's put them on the southern border, and that solves your problem, and there's no increased cost. Now, there's an argument to keep them in South Korea for a lot of reasons, but why we have 28,000 troops in Germany and all those troops in Japan makes no sense whatsoever to anybody except those that want to perpetuate the military-industrial complex and make more money off supplying these troops all over the globe. Because at the end of the day, Matt, if you just follow the money in Washington, it's really easy. You just follow the money. And you follow it, it's all corrupt. You're going to follow it, and you're going to find out where it goes, who's backing who, what the donors are. Wall Street's behind it, Goldman Sachs, big donors. That's all you have to do. It's the easiest thing if you just take an honest approach. Exactly. Matt, we're out of time. Matt Waters, what's your website?
Yeah, mattwaters.com. Check it out, and love to have your support and send checks to the P.O. box there at the bottom of the page.
mattwaters.com. Matt, thanks for being with us.
Yeah.